Tennessee family slaying. The mystery of the spared infant. It's a quiet summer day in rural Tennessee, late July 2025. The air is thick with heat, the sun beating down on the sleepy backroads and dense woods near Reelfoot Lake. Life here moves at its own pace. But beneath the calm surface of this small community, a venomous secret is about to break, unleashing a horror that will leave a permanent scar. For members of single family, found deep in the woods, a mother, her 2 children, and her daughter's boyfriend, their lives extinguished with brutal finality. 40 miles away, a miracle, or perhaps a message. A 7-month-old baby girl, the sole survivor, abandoned on a stranger's porch, left at mercy of fate in the blistering afternoon sun. The man at the center of it all, a 28-year-old with a history of violence, a ghost in the system, now the most wanted man in Tennessee. The questions are as chilling as the crime itself. What rage could drive a man to annihilate an entire family? And what strange, twisted logic led him to spare the most helpless of them all? Welcome to Dark Truths, true crime stories, where we unravel the cases that haunt us. This isn't just a story of murder. It's a story of family lost, a community terrified, and the deeply unsettling mystery of a spared infant. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and join us as we piece together the timeline of the Tennessee family slaying. Let's dive in. The crime scene discovered July 29, 2025. The day was fading on July 29, 2025. In Tiptonville, a small town nestled in Lake County, Tennessee, the evening was settling in with its usual symphony of crickets and the distant hum of life winding down. But along Carrington Road, a desolate stretch flanked by dense, swampy woods near the iconic Reelfoot Lake, a different kind of silence had taken hold. It was an unnatural quiet, soon to be shattered. A local resident, out for a walk as the day cooled, stumbled upon something that didn't belong. A scene so horrific, it felt ripped from a nightmare. For bodies, later identified by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation as 38-year-old Cortney Rose, her daughter, 20-year-old Adrianna Williams, her son, 15-year-old Braydon Williams, and Adrianna's 21-year-old boyfriend, James Michael Wilson. A TBI press release would later confirm the grim details. All 4 had been fatally shot. Their deaths were unequivocally ruled as homicides. The scene itself was chilling. There were no immediate signs of a struggle, no discarded weapons, no witnesses stepping forward from the shadows. Just the victims, the trees, and the secrets they now held. For a place like Lake County, with a population of less than 7,000, this level of violence was unheard of. As an NBC News report from that week noted, the shockwave was immediate. Neighbors gathered on their porches, phones lit up with frantic calls and texts, and small prayer circles formed as the horrifying news spread like wildfire through the tight-knit community. These weren't just names on a news report. They were a family. Cortney, a devoted single mom. Adrianna, basking in the glow of new motherhood. Braydon, a kid with his whole life ahead. And James, the loving partner ready to build a future. Who could have brought such darkness to their door? Have you ever lived in a small town where everyone knows everyone, and tragedy feels like a personal blow to the entire community? The woods around Reelfoot Lake are known for their beauty, but on that night, they hit a terrible truth. What is the weight of such a discovery on the soul of a place? The abandoned infant, a strange clue. The mystery of the Tiptonville woods actually began hours earlier and 40 miles south. Around 3:10 p.m. that same day, in the even smaller town of Tigard, a homeowner was startled by the sound of a vehicle speeding away from their house. When they looked outside, they saw it, a baby car seat, sitting inexplicably in the middle of their front lawn. Inside, a 7-month-old baby girl, confused but miraculously unharmed. A statement from the Dyer County Sheriff's Office detailed a witness account of a dark-colored minivan or a white mid-sized SUV pulling up, placing the child on the grass, and then vanishing. The baby, The daughter of victims Adrianna Williams and James Wilson was left alone in the scorching July heat. Paramedics were called immediately, and thankfully, she was found to be safe and healthy. But the scene was baffling. In a 2025 interview with the Tennessean, District Attorney Danny Goodman emphasized just how bizarre it was. The homeowner had absolutely no connection to the family. It was, by all accounts, a completely random house on a random street. Why there? Why that house? Investigators dusted the simple Graco car seat for fingerprints, but the plastic yielded nothing useful. This act became the case's most haunting question. Why was the baby spared? Was this a fleeting moment of mercy from a cold-blooded killer, a flicker of conscience in a mind consumed by darkness? Or was it something more sinister, a calculated move designed to throw investigators off the trail and buy the killer precious time? Can you imagine the sheer disbelief of finding a baby on your lawn? What does this deliberate 40-mile journey with an infant tell us about the killer's mindset? The suspect named Austin Robert Drummond. For 2 agonizing days, the community held its breath. Then, on July 31st, the investigation snapped into focus. The TBI named their prime suspect, 28-year-old Austin Robert Drummond. A warrant was immediately issued for 4 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, and related firearms charges. As reported by USA Today, an alert was blasted across the state. Drummond, 5 feet 10 inches, 190 pounds, with brown hair and a goatee, was officially a fugitive and considered armed and extremely dangerous. His vehicle, a white 2016 Audi A3 with a Rhode Island license plate, became the subject of a massive search. Suddenly, this wasn't a faceless monster. It was a man with a name, a history, and a chilling connection to the victims. According to DA Danny Goodman, in an Associated Press interview, Drummond was the boyfriend of Cortney Rose's sister. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was personal. This was familial. And Drummond was no stranger to the law. His past was a roadmap of escalating violence. A robbery conviction in 2013, an attempted murder charge he allegedly committed while in prison, a charge for which he was, shockingly, out on bond at the time of the murders. The man tasked with hunting a family had a history hidden in plain sight, a past that screamed a capacity for extreme violence. Have you ever known someone who led a double life, whose public face hid a much darker reality? How could Drummond's violent history have been overlooked, allowing him to walk free and, allegedly, commit such an unthinkable act? This is a profile of a family annihilator, and he was now on the run. The victims, a family story. Before they were victims, they were a family woven together by the everyday threads of love, struggle, and hope. Cortney Rose, at 38, was the matriarch, the anchor. Friends describe her as a hard-working single mom who would do anything for her children. She was their provider and their fierce protector. Her daughter, 20-year-old Adrianna Williams, was stepping into the beautiful chaos of new motherhood. Her social media was filled with pictures of her 7-month-old daughter, each post radiating pride and love. She and her boyfriend, 21-year-old James Wilson, were building a life together. James was described as a quiet, supportive partner, a young man ready to be a father and a husband. And then there was Braydon Williams, just 15, a high schooler on the cusp of everything, getting his driver's license, thinking about college, dreaming about the future. He was a beloved younger brother, the son, the friend. A GoFundMe page, set up by James' sister Amanda Myatt to help with the staggering funeral costs, painted a picture of their bond, raising over $1,500 in its first few days as the community grappled with the loss. Tributes poured onto Facebook with friends, as quoted in a 2025 report by The Independent, calling Adrianna the sweetest person you would ever meet, and Cortney a mom who was a sole provider and a damn good one. Their violent deaths didn't just kill 4 people. They ripped a hole in the heart of Tiptonville. The central question remained, why this family? What could they possibly have done to provoke such a final, brutal act of vengeance? Have you ever lost someone to a senseless act of violence? The stories we tell about the victims are all we have left. Could their story have held a clue, a warning sign of the danger that was lurking so close? The connection to the baby. For investigators, every clue pointed back to the 7-month-old survivor. Her discovery hours before her family's bodies were found created a crucial, if confusing, timeline. It suggested Drummond, after allegedly committing the murders, took the child and drove 40 miles south. This wasn't a short trip. It was a conscious, deliberate journey. A 2025 article on Oxygen.com delved into the perplexing questions this raised. Was Drummond trying to create a red herring, to send police on a wild goose chase in a different county to delay the discovery of the crime scene? Or was it something else entirely? District Attorney Goodman confirmed to the AP that Drummond knew the victims intimately. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. But the question of the baby's life hung over the entire investigation. Why spare her? In a surprising comment posted on social media in 2025, TBI Director David Roche offered a potential theory, hinting that perhaps it was a moment of compassion. He suggested that maybe, in the aftermath of unimaginable violence, Drummond could not bring himself to harm the infant. It's a jarring thought that a man capable of such brutality might also possess a flicker of remorse. But was it truly compassion, or was the baby spared because she was a witness who could never testify, a life left behind as a final, twisted message? Could sparing a child truly be a sign of a killer's inner conflict? Have you ever heard of a case where a monster showed a moment of mercy? The meaning of this single act could be the key to understanding the entire crime. The manhunt begins. By July 30th, the manhunt for Austin Drummond was in full force. This was no longer just a local police matter. It was a multi-agency operation. The TBI, the FBI, and the elite U.S. Marshals Two Rivers Violent Fugitive Task Force were all mobilized. The message was clear. There was nowhere for Drummond to hide. A reward was quickly offered for any information leading to his capture, starting at $7,500 and rapidly climbing to $17,500, as reported by USA Today. The first major break came on August 1st. Drummond's white Audi A3 was found abandoned in Jackson, Tennessee, about an hour's drive from the crime scene. The search immediately zeroed in on the Jackson area. The atmosphere in the city grew tense. A WBIR report confirmed a credible sighting of Drummond on Pipkin Road on July 31st, putting the entire community on high alert. Schools, including Jackson Christian, went on lockdown. Residents were bombarded with alerts, urged to lock their doors, check their security cameras, and report anything suspicious. The fear was palpable. A quadruple murderer was walking among them. Have you ever lived through the tension of a manhunt in your area? The feeling that a dangerous fugitive could be anywhere in a neighbor's shed, in the woods behind your house. What does that fear do to a community? Accomplices emerge. Just as the public was forming an image of Drummond as a lone wolf killer, the investigation took another sharp turn. He wasn't alone. On August 2nd, the TBI announced the arrest of two of his known associates. Tanaka Brown, 29, and Giovant Thomas, 29, both from Jackson, were charged with accessory after the fact of first-degree murder. This meant authorities believed they had actively helped Drummond after the killings. According to an ABC News report, Brown faced an additional charge for tampering with evidence and was held without bond. Thomas was already in jail on unrelated charges. A day later, on August 3rd, another arrest was made. De'Ara Sanders was also charged as an accessory. The lone wolf narrative began to crumble. This was now potentially a conspiracy, a network of individuals who may have helped Drummond evade capture, dispose of evidence, or even plan the crime itself. Did they know the full extent of his horrific actions? Were they driven by loyalty, fear, or something else? Their arrests opened up new avenues for investigators, promising to peel back the layers of Drummond's plan. Can accomplices sometimes hold the key to a killer's motive? Have you seen a case where the actions of those who helped a criminal led to their downfall? The role of those who aid and abet can be just as revealing as the crime itself. The media frenzy. Almost immediately, the story exploded onto the national stage. By July 30th, satellite trucks from outlets like CNN and Fox News were descending on Tiptonville. Headlines screamed across screens and newspapers. The narrative was irresistible. A horrific family massacre contrasted with a miraculous, almost unbelievable story of the spared baby. NBC News repeatedly aired footage of the empty Graco car seat on the lawn, a haunting symbol of a tragedy. Social media became a whirlwind of speculation. As a 2025 Vox analysis later pointed out, the hashtag Tennessee murders trended for days. Armchair detectives posted theories about Drummond's motive, debated the significance of the 40-mile drive, and shared his mugshot relentlessly. The intense media focus turned the victims into characters in a national drama and Drummond into a primetime villain. Local reporters on the ground captured the raw grief of neighbors, their descriptions of the family's kindness standing in stark contrast to the brutal crime. Have you ever watched a criminal case unfold in the media and felt the narrative being shaped in real time? The coverage undoubtedly helped in the manhunt by spreading Drummond's face everywhere. But did the sensationalism surrounding the spare baby risk overshadowing the 4 lives that were lost? What is the power and the danger of a story going viral? Public reaction and grief. While the media analyzed and the police hunted, the community of Tiptonville simply mourned. By July 30th, vigils were being organized. A Tennessean report described somber, candlelit gatherings at the edge of Reelfoot Lake, where locals who knew the family, and many who didn't, came to leave flowers and share their grief. They prayed for Cortney, Adrianna, Braydon, and James. Online, the response was a torrent of sorrow and support. GoFundMe campaigns for funeral expenses were flooded with donations from strangers across the country, leaving messages calling the loss unimaginable and heartbreaking. Social media, for all its rampant speculation, also became a space for collective mourning. Posts praying for the family and demanding Drummond's capture were shared millions of times. And at the center of it all, emotionally, was the baby. She became a symbol of fragile hope amidst the devastation, a living reminder of the family that was lost, and a focal point for the public's empathy. Have you ever been part of a community coming together in the face of tragedy? There's a powerful, profound force in public grief. How does that collective sorrow put pressure on the justice system to deliver answers? Drummond's criminal past. As the manhunt raged, investigators and reporters dug deeper into Austin Drummond's past, and what they found was a portrait of a man who had been on a collision course with violence for over a decade. According to court records unearthed by the Associated Press, his serious criminal history began when he was just 16. He robbed a convenience store in Jackson, not with a real firearm, but with a BB gun. Yet even then, a chilling detail emerged. During his trial, he allegedly threatened jurors, a sign of his profound contempt for the very system meant to hold him accountable. He was sentenced to 13 years. Prison did not reform him. It seems to have hardened him. His disciplinary record was a laundry list of infractions, over 24 of them, including participation in gang activity and, most alarmingly, a charge for attempted murder against another inmate. It was for that charge that he was out on bond. The justice system had deemed him fit for release pending trial, a decision that would prove to have catastrophic consequences. His past didn't just hint at violence. It screamed it. It was a clear, unambiguous pattern of escalation that led directly to that wooded area in Tiptonville. Can a person's past truly predict their future crimes? Have you ever seen a case where the warning signs were so clear in retrospect? The way of a criminal record is not just about past deeds, but about the potential for future ones. The motive mystery. Even with a suspect in their sights, the ultimate question for investigators was why. In his interview with the AP, DA Danny Goodman admitted the motive remained unclear. The connection was personal. Drummond was dating Cortney Rose's sister. This strongly suggested the motive was rooted in a domestic dispute, a family conflict that spiraled into mass murder. The sheer brutality of the crime, 4 people shot in a remote, execution-style manner, spoke of a deep-seated rage or cold, calculated decision to eliminate witnesses. But the spare baby complicated every simple theory. If this was pure rage, why let her live? If it was a cold, calculated act, what was the strategic advantage of leaving a living link to the victims? On social media, speculation ran rampant. Was it about money? Was it an act of extreme jealousy? A drug-related dispute? A robbery gone wrong? Director Roche's comment about potential compassion only fueled more debate, suggesting a killer capable of remorse, a narrative that seemed at odds with the massacre itself. The motive remained the black box at the heart of the case. Have you ever been captivated by a crime where the motive made no sense? The survival of the baby isn't just a side note. It could be the very key to understanding what was going through the killer's mind. What truly drives a person to such a point of no return? The search intensifies. With the manhunt centered on Jackson, the pressure mounted. On August 1st, a second vehicle linked to Drummond was located, a 1988 white Ford pickup, found abandoned back in Dyer County. In a TBI social media post, authorities pleaded with residents on Burt Mill Road to check their home security cameras for any sign of him. The search area was expanding and contracting, a frustrating game of cat and mouse. By August 3rd, the reward for his capture had swelled to $32,500. With the FBI adding to the pot, a detail reported by The Independent. The message was clear. Every resource was being deployed. Lockdowns and police alerts became a part of daily life for the people of West Tennessee. The question on everyone's mind was a terrifying one. Was Drummond hunkered down somewhere nearby, hiding in plain sight? Or had he slipped through the massive dragnet and vanished? Have you ever felt the shadow of a manhunt over your town? The constant news updates, the helicopters overhead. Community vigilance can be a powerful tool, but it's fueled by a constant, simmering fear. The arrest, August 5th, 2025. Then, after a week of terror that felt like a lifetime, it was over. On the evening of August 5th, the Jackson Police Department, acting on a tip, located and captured Austin Drummond. A post from BBC World confirmed the news that swept across Tennessee like a tidal wave of relief. He was found hiding in Jackson and was taken into custody without incident. Details of the arrest were initially sparse, but the outcome was all that mattered. The armed and dangerous fugitive was in handcuffs. He was transported to the Lake County Jail to face the charges that awaited him. As the community breathed a collective sigh of relief, the focus began to shift from the hunt to the courtroom. In a statement to U.S. News, DA Danny Goodman made it clear that the fight for justice was just beginning, hinting that his office would strongly consider seeking the death penalty. The immediate threat was gone, but the questions, the pain, and the long road ahead remained. Can a single arrest ever truly heal a community shattered by such violence? Have you ever seen a case where the moment of capture brought not just relief, but a profound sense of sadness for all that had been lost? The role of surveillance. In the digital age, few manhunts are fought without a silent, ever-watchful partner, technology. Surveillance footage was absolutely crucial in tracking Austin Drummond. That confirmed sighting of him on Pipkin Road on July 31st came from a private home security camera, a small piece of consumer tech that helped narrow a statewide search to a single city. The discovery of his abandoned Audi and the Ford pickup provided physical evidence, but it was the digital breadcrumbs that helped connect the dots. Investigators scoured footage from gas stations, storefronts, and doorbell cameras along potential routes he might have taken. The baby's drop-off, though not captured up close, was pieced together by witness accounts and a review of distant cameras that may have caught his vehicle entering or leaving the neighborhood. In a case with no living adult witnesses to the crime, these digital ghosts became the key storytellers. Have you ever thought about how much of our lives are captured on camera? In this case, that surveillance network became a tool for justice. What is the power of a single, grainy frame of video in solving a murder? The baby's survival. Amidst the darkness of this case, there is one solitary point of light: the baby, now safely in the care of relatives. Her survival remains the story's most profound and haunting element. A legit.ng report highlighted the medical perspective. Found in extreme July heat, dehydrated but alive, her survival was nothing short of a miracle. But the question of why she survived continues to haunt investigators and the public. Why drive 40 miles? If the goal was to save her, why leave her on a random lawn instead of a fire station or hospital? Was it an act of protection or a way to mislead police by creating a second crime scene far from the first? Her life, saved from the wreckage of her family, is a stark and heartbreaking contrast to their fate. She will grow up with this story as her origin, a life forever defined by a tragedy she is too young to remember. Can a child's survival redefine a tragedy, turning it from a story of pure loss into one with a flicker of hope? Have you seen other cases where you found hope in the deepest darkness? What will be the legacy of her life, a life bought at such an unbearable cost? Community impact. For the towns of Tiptonville and Tigrit, the arrest of Watts Drummond did not erase the fear. The psychological scars of that week run deep. A Fox 10 Phoenix report noted that even after his capture, many businesses continued to close early. Parents were hesitant to let their children play outside. The wooded areas around Reelfoot Lake, once a source of recreation and local pride, were now viewed with suspicion and sadness. Schools implemented new security measures. Pastors and community leaders held meetings, calling for healing and unity. But the fundamental sense of safety had been shattered. This crime wasn't perpetrated by an outsider who passed through town. It was allegedly committed by someone connected to the family, a threat that had been living right alongside them. The trust between neighbors, the very fabric of a small community, was shaken. Have you ever seen a town fundamentally change after a violent crime? Recovery isn't just about justice. It's about rebuilding a sense of security that was stolen. What is the ripple effect of a crime that proves the monster might not be a stranger, but someone you know? Media's role in shaping the narrative. From the moment the story broke, the media framed Watts Drummond not just as a suspect, but as a monster. CNN's Family Killer. Headlines were stark and immediate, drawing parallels to infamous cases like Scott Peterson and Chris Watts, where a perpetrator wipes out their own family. The spared baby became the central narrative hook, the element that made the story uniquely compelling and horrifying. The Vox analysis was pointed, noting how the hashtag Tennessee baby began trending alongside the murder hashtag, shifting some of the focus from the crime to the miracle. This relentless coverage was a double-edged sword. It made Drummond's face instantly recognizable, aiding the manhunt, but did also create a biased narrative before a single piece of evidence was presented in court. The line between informative news and sensationalized drama can be razor thin. Can intense media coverage prejudice a case before it ever reaches a jury? Have you seen headlines and news reports that seem to shape public opinion before the trial has even begun? This case is a powerful example of the media's role in a modern true crime story. The legal path ahead. With Watts Drummond in custody, the case moves from the backroads of Tennessee to the confines of a courtroom. He faces arraignment in Tiptonville on a slate of charges, most seriously 4 counts of first-degree murder. As U.S. News reported, District Attorney Danny Goodman is considering the death penalty, a decision that will raise the stakes of the trial exponentially. The trials of his alleged accomplices Tanaka Brown, Giovant Thomas, and De'Ara Sanders will likely precede his, potentially revealing crucial details about the planning, the execution, and the aftermath of the crime. Their testimony could be the key to understanding Drummond's actions. This will not be a swift process. The legal path ahead could take years, filled with pretrial motions, jury selection, and the slow, methodical presentation of evidence. And at the center of it all, the defense and prosecution will likely battle over the one detail that makes this case so unique: the mystery of the spared infant. Can the justice system ever provide true healing for the victim's surviving family? Have you ever followed a high-profile trial from start to finish, witnessing all its twists and turns? For this Tennessee community, the path to closure will be a long one. Lessons from the tragedy. The Tennessee family slaying echoes some of the most haunting cases in true crime history, like the Peterson and Watts cases. It involves the annihilation of a family, allegedly by someone they knew and trusted. It highlights the terrifying reality that the greatest dangers often come from within our own circles. The media frenzy, the personal motive, the shocking brutality, these are all familiar, tragic patterns. The mystery of the spared baby, however, sets this case apart, forcing us to ask difficult questions about human psychology, remorse, and the complex nature of evil. But perhaps the most important lesson is a preventative one. It's a stark reminder of the importance of recognizing the warning signs of violence, especially in those with known criminal past, and the potential failures of a system that allows such individuals to walk free. Could this tragedy have been prevented? What can we as a society learn from the loss of Cortney, Adrianna, Braydon, and James? Have you seen these patterns repeat in other true crime cases? Perhaps the greatest lesson is the importance of vigilance and of protecting the vulnerable before it's too late. A baby's survival, a family's loss. The Tennessee family slaying of 2025 left 4 people dead, a community scarred, and a baby's life hanging in a delicate balance between a miracle and a mystery. The arrest of Austin Drummond closes one chapter of this horrific story, but the deepest questions, the true motive, and the reason for the infant's survival may linger forever in the swampy woods of Lake County. A baby will grow up without her parents, her brother, her grandmother, a living testament to a night of unimaginable loss. Thank you for joining us on Dark Truths, True Crime Stories. This case is still developing, and the search for answers is far from over. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What do you believe was the real motive behind this tragedy? And what do you make of the decision to spare the baby? Remember to like this video if you found our investigation insightful, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that challenge our understanding of the world. Until next time, hold your loved ones close and always seek the truth,